many, many individuals associate angels as being completely ethereal and divine and perfect in every way. And that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thought. And many individuals, when they enter into this realm, they feel tremendous empathy and care for children because they see them as innocent. Sometimes the empathy they have for a child is not matched by the empathy they have for an adult. If they were listening to the news and they heard that something tragic happened to a child, their heart would sink. They heard something tragic happen to a mom of 5 kids, it doesn't bother them as much. And you gotta wonder, what is that? The child is perceived as being innocent, and it's potential. It has not actualized at all. It's all potential. The mom, she has 5 kids that are dependent upon her. She's actually actualized a great deal of her potential. And one would think that it's a greater tragedy. There are 5 children who are dependent upon her. But human nature is not like that, and I question, why is that? Why is it that the human being responds, usually when they're not aligned in a higher resonance, that poor innocent child, or that poor innocent koala bear, or that poor innocent anything that's cute and looking innocent is poor and innocent, but the individual that actually has taken that energy and manifested it in a higher light, it's not nearly as tragic to the collective consciousness of linearity. It's not. And I want to understand why that is. And the reason why that is because individuals along this realm, they've entered into polarity construct. They're stuck in notions of good and bad and evil and holy and tall and short, and everything's got an opposite, and they kind of define themselves by what they are not instead of by what they are. And the reason why they define themselves by what they are not instead of what they are is because they carry a great degree of shame. And they don't want to focus on what they are. That reminds them of their shame. They rather focus on what they are not. And if they focus on what they are not, then they can feel better about who they are. I am always in need of individuals that I feel are of lower quality or lower performance than myself. That's the perception, and they play the role as the boogeyman for me to help me feel better of myself, because I don't want to reflect on myself who I am and what I am because of the shame I carry. And I ask, what is the source of that shame? Why are individuals born in shame? For the shame is part of the source of their disconnect. Their shame comes because they recognize themselves as everything that they are not. They focus their entity, their essence, as being all the things that are not central to who they are. The individual carries a sacred song of truth and light and shines all the time, but to the degree that the individual is in exiled consciousness from that truth and continues to learn about who they are from lessons of struggle and strain and disappointment, and doesn't take possession of their song of truth, then yes, they are ashamed, because their identification is associated with all that's transient and not them. They're focused with appearance, linear accomplishments, a lot of things that family, a lot of things that have nothing to do with that. But if they would take possession of their sacred song of truth, and to the degree they unravel that scroll, that beautiful song of truth, and broadcast it, and live it in intimacy, then they have no shame. And they have no trouble connecting with their higher self. And they have no trouble flowing with the song of eternity. And that individual will not have a stronger sympathy for the child than they would for the mother and 5 kids. They wouldn't, because they don't carry that shame. And so what we need to realize here is that when individuals born into polarity, into this tree of life versus the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or truth and what's not true, this polarity construct, this world and its dualities and polarities, we lock into everything that we're not. Because the light is hidden here, because if the light was so apparent, then there would be no free will. It would be too obvious. And there would be no freedom. But rather than be overpowered by the light and not have free will, the light is restrained to a degree that your consciousness is not aligned in oneness. You are shutting the shade on it. Because the light is a song of eternity, and infinity is a singular collective resonance. And so therefore, individuals that come into the material plane, they believe, I'm born in sin, I am full of shame, I am imperfect, I am short of so much. And instead of recognizing what is worthy of love within, they focus on what is worthy of scorn without, and find something more scornful than themselves to keep them from having to do the work within. In truth, that the individuals who enter into the material plane, they are angels, and they are brave to enter into this space. And they waited online, they wanted to be here. And they left legions of familiar resonances behind, who vicariously, through their eyes, live through them along their journey. A select few are chosen to come down to this space. And the individual that enters into this material plane is not what you think. Is not a small little mortal versus the great angel. In fact, they are actualizing to become a more powerful angel.